Today I thought it would be fun to react to a couple of common misconceptions or assumptions of being a translator. Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. So a couple of days ago a friend of mine actually sent me a link to an article that was something called like misconceptions of being a translator or something like this. And he asked me, hey, can you read this article and let me know if you recognize yourself? Because I'm also thinking about becoming a translator. So he wanted to hear it from me, from his friend, from an actual translator, right? So I opened the article and I read the first two assumptions and I thought to myself, that could actually be a funny YouTube series, just finding these articles and then going through the assumptions and reacting live to them and just deciding if I recognize myself, if the assumptions are true, or if it's actually misconceptions. So today is the first episode of this with the article Misconceptions of Being a Translator. So let's get to the computer and get through these assumptions. All right, there we are. This is the article that I mentioned. Top 10 misconceptions about being a translator. I don't know what the picture is all about, so I hope it doesn't say that we are violent or something. So let's get through it. I'm just going to read the assumptions, the parts, the bold parts, and either agree or disagree with it based on my experience, of course. So anyone who speaks two languages can be a translator. Now it says can be a translator, so I would agree, yes, because anyone who speaks two languages can theoretically be a translator. I wouldn't say that they are automatically a translator. Maybe that's what the assumption means. So let me just read what they say. Yes, so in the first sentence, just because a person speaks two languages does not mean they can call themselves a translator, which is true. I agree with that, but that's not what the assumption exactly says. Maybe that's just my my precision with words, but because it says can, I would agree. If it says is, I would disagree. Two languages or being bilingual doesn't make you a translator. It gives you very good odds of becoming one if you want to, but still being a translator is much more. It's understanding the audience, understanding the content type that you're translating, being aware of false friends, and it says here translation requires a range of skills, exactly, theoretical and practical training, which I agree. Translating and interpreting are the same thing. No, that's obviously not true. A translator deals with written texts. So what I do, I translate an English or a French text into a German text for a German audience or a Swiss audience. An interpreter works with spoken texts, or spoken words rather. So that can be in a conference, for example, you translate from one language live into another one. People then have an earpiece in their ear. So interpreting, from my opinion, is much harder than translating. In my studies there was a master's in interpreting that you could do, and it's very hard to get in there. Only a fraction of the people that apply get in there, and because there's not a big need of it. Like in Switzerland, I think the requirement for the whole country is under 10 per year, because that's how many leave the job market, right? So if you have only 4 or 5 people leaving the job market, you don't need to train 100 people becoming an interpreter, because that's not going to fill the needs. Translation, however, is much easier, and you don't need a degree to call yourself a translator. That's not the same thing at all. You need to be a certified or a sworn translator to work in the field of translation. No, that's not true. I myself am not a certified translator. You need to be certified if you want to translate official documents such as birth certificates or wedding contracts or something. Legal contracts, you probably need to be certified as well. But for the stuff that I do, I don't need it, and I'm not interested in official translations anyway, because they're usually not very interesting, not very creative. So you can probably make a bit more money if you only work on officially certified translations. But then there's a trade-off. Like, do you want to work on something that pays you a bit more, but you're miserable, which I would be probably with this kind of texts. But of course, if that's for you, it's a good way to go. When I worked in a translation agency, we only had a few certified translators actually working for us. And then whenever they did a translation, I had to go to the official authority and get it stamped and say who translated it. So it's a very official process, but you don't need to be certified to work as a translator at all. The most important thing for a translator is to master a foreign language. No, absolutely not. The most important thing is to master your native language, almost to a perfection. My French, my foreign language is yeah, some people would even say not good at all. I'm not very proud of my French, of my spoken French at least, but it's all about the native language, right? Because most likely you won't translate into your foreign language. It's all about research and how you transform the meaning. The meaning you will always understand, right? Or you can just Google the meaning of it basically, and then how you transform and transport it and transfer it into your native language. That's the main part. Most important thing is to understand the foreign language and master of the technique and writing of the mother tongue. Exactly, I agree. Number 5, good translators are able to translate into their native language as well as their second language. Oh, well, that's a bit of a loaded question. I mean, good translators are able to, no, actually, I disagree. You can be an awesome translator and not be able to translate into your foreign language because it's not needed, right? Like my translations into English would probably be okay, and maybe I could even get away with it to offer it as a service, but I don't want to because it's not my native language, and there are always intricacies that you just can't hit as a non-native, especially when it's a specific target audience. Sometimes I see translations into German from not native speakers, and they are almost good, but then there is this. It's kind of almost too good, almost too textbook, you know, it just, no one would speak like this. So yeah, you have to be careful with offering this service. And my translations into French would definitely be not good, which doesn't make me a bad translator, right? Number 6, translation can be done quickly. Yes, some of them can for sure, yeah. I mean, I do a lot of market research translations, which are basically questionnaires for, in Switzerland there are a lot of referendums, and for one company I do these kind of midterm, not election, but midterm voting trends kind of. So we ask them, what will you vote basically in the next referendum, right? And then we have a trend of where the votes are going, and this then goes to the press and they can pick it up and publish it if they want to. And these translations are easy, they're almost always standard, you know, you just replace the new referendum. The answers are just like fully agree, fully disagree, etc. So yeah, these translations can be done very quickly. And then there are translations that are extremely difficult and extremely tedious, where you literally have to research every single segment. I did one on, it's now been a few months, it was in January, but I still remember it so well. It was about some kind of satellite navigation system for a railway company, so they would map out where they can build rails, so where the earth is, or the ground is flat enough, and where there is least resistance if you build a railway system. And it was extremely difficult. It was fun, I learned a lot of course, but yeah, I probably translated like 100 words per hour, whereas in a market research study I would do maybe 700 words per hour. So wrong, on average a professional translator can translate between 250 to 300 words per hour. Yeah, more or less. Yeah, for me it's a bit more. I would say 400 to 500 words per hour on a normal text. 250 is a bit on the lower side, I would say. Number 7. Training to be a translator involves taking a long course in learning vocabulary in another language. Not really, no. It's, in my translation studies, it was kind of a prerequisite to have a certain standard of your foreign language. So we had an entry test with a lot of vocabulary and grammar, etc. And if you didn't have the standard, you would just not get in, because in the actual course, you don't really focus on vocabulary anymore. What you focus on is translation theories, translation practice, researching skills, actual domain-specific things like what can you specialize in the future, and also cultural things. So, almost at the end. Number 8. Automatic translation tools are so advanced these days that they can easily replace human translators. Okay, that's a sticky one, and I will make a separate video on that, about fear of AI taking the jobs, etc. That they can easily replace human translators. No, they can't. They can't easily replace them. They might as well in the future, and they probably will. At the moment, they cannot easily replace them. They can replace them in a few instances where the text is so standard that it's always the same. For example, in annual reports of companies, some things, because how it works is the more content there is online, the more it feeds the algorithms and the more accurate the translations become. So very standard businessy texts, they can be translated very accurately already now. But the more creative ones, and especially like user-focused ones, user-facing ones, they can't. Yeah, some things can't be translated literally. Sometimes you need to transcreate a segment. So transcreation means really like taking a step back from the source text and creating something completely different. If they speak of like a Weezer song, which is a band in the US that's very popular, and in Germany not still popular but not really that big, so you would probably change it to another very big rock band. Or if they try to make a joke and it doesn't work in the target language, you need to think of another joke. Americans speak very emotionally. They say thank you so much for partaking in our survey and stuff, whereas in Switzerland they would just say yeah, thank you for taking part. It's not so emotional language, German. So for now, no, I don't think they can replace them, but in the future, yeah, we will have to think about another career option. I think only offers verbatim translations, which is not true anymore. The context is getting more and more improved, so I don't know when this thing is from. Does it say somewhere? No, I can't judge. Oh yeah, 2015. Okay. Back then, yes, that was true, only verbatim, but that's changed by now. Yeah, contextual cues are used in neural network translations, and it's getting much better than 2015, when it was really only verbatim translations. Number 9, we don't need to translate our website as all our clients read English. Not true, actually. There are a lot of studies of people spending much more money in e-commerce, for example, if your site is translated. Users tend to spend much more money if your website is localized for them. Yeah, if you want to be locally present in a place, then you need to have a website that's localized for the local audience as well. So even if you have a website in German and you want to sell in Switzerland, it's still important that you localize it for Switzerland, because there is a subconscious effect when a text is not written for you and you know it, you're less likely to actually purchase a product. They say, while it is true that today much of the population understands English, according to several studies, visitors of commercial websites do not tend to trust. Yep, exactly what I said. I agree a lot with this Mathieu guy. Oh, he's from Switzerland. Cool. That's nice. Maybe I will contact him after this. Then, the last one. Translation can't be that hard because there is only one possible translation for each text. Well, no, that's obviously not true. There are endless possibilities to translate one text. And sometimes I have calls with the team that I'm working with for some clients, and we literally discuss the same sentence for half an hour or an hour. And then we just have to say, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, the user won't mind if there is a hyphen, if there is a this word or this word. It just needs to make sense. But yeah, if you like languages, and then these discussions, they can spiral into a very long discussion about small things. If that were the case, then machine translation tools would work better than they do. No, there is definitely not only one possible translation. As they say, then we would have no job anymore because machine translation would take over. This is the literal reason why we are still needed, and hopefully will still be needed for a couple of years. That's it. We are through. Very interesting article. I hope you like this video. I want to make this, as I said, into a series. Next one will be about being a freelancer. Yeah, unfortunately you can't translate my videos anymore. YouTube deleted this tool, but I still hope you enjoyed it, and please consider to subscribe. We are still growing, and I really want to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you could help me out, that would be amazing. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.